covering all your favorite parts of the 50-yard fight. This is the Inside the Walls podcast with Zach Kyleman and Jim Mernier.
Hello again there, 50-Yard Fight fans. We come to you with breaking news on this latest edition of the Inside the Walls podcast, a surprise extra for you this week. Sometimes we'll be doing these episodes where we just have to get in that something in the league took place and we have to respond to it timingly and accordingly. Well, this week, we finally got the official word on a trade that was supposed to happen last week before week 2. Mike Fafaul, the former Albany Empire quarterback who started in week 1, sat week 2, is going to be traded back to his former team where he won the 2019 NAL championship with the Jacksonville Sharks in exchange for Sharks quarterback Warren Smith, who will be heading over to the Albany Empire. Jim, I'm going to be frank with you. I already know how you feel about this trade in terms of what the Sharks are getting. Let's take a step back and just discuss here. So a lot of confusion behind this. We didn't talk about it last week because there's a lot of stuff up in the air with it. Plenty to discuss on social, plenty to discuss on community boards, but finally the thing went through and we discussed in a show somewhat. If not on the show, we discussed outside of it. It had been a kind of a jumbled mess at that point, that something might have delayed it in terms of the fact that the two teams were playing each other last week. And now all of a sudden the trade goes through. I don't know about you. Seems like competitive edge played a little bit of a factor in them saying, we got this. Oh, wait. Let's wait a second. Okay, it's Monday. Now you can go ahead.
First off, these type of trades are unique in the arena game, and we got one. And it broke last week with credible sources. We had good sources on all three sides of the situation. It kind of went to a point where the head man himself had to get involved. That is the commissioner of the league. Yes, you could say that the source was, or the trade was rescinded last week, but technically it never got rescinded because it was completed just the other day via our source. It's a big monumental shift because Jacksonville is bringing in a quarterback that knows the system, knows Coach Burley, and has won a championship in Jacksonville with the system that is in place right now. Albany is getting a good, solid backup quarterback. Right now, I say he's a backup because how Sam Castronova is playing. You don't give the ball away to a guy that's on fire right now. But Warren Smith, if you listen to one of our previous shows, he is taking, I think he's going to be like a weekend quarterback for a couple weeks in the month of May. Then he'll be a full-time with the Albany Empire. And for the Albany fans out there, Warren Smith is a dang good arena football quarterback. He is going to benefit your offense just in case, depending on what Coach Manas wants to do in that offense. You have weapons in that offense that both quarterbacks can really feast. So yes. It's a big move, but for Jacksonville, it's unique because last week we've seen how Jacksonville was always throwing the deep ball. And one thing that Mike Fafaul is very noticeable on is that he throws a lot of short routes, cut routes, and going deep. It's going to be, for a fan, me, I'm trying not to hold my excitement. I'm not saying, give us the title, the Sharks are going to win it all. But you never see these trades in the arena league. Never. It never happens.
Right.
And it happened. We've been getting a lot of messages from fans saying, oh, this is a joke. This is a bad image of the league. Yes, the league knows that we shouldn't have been doing this. And I've heard a couple of guys and sources confirm that now if a trade is posted on the website today or tomorrow or whatever, it's final. It can never be rescinded again. Apparently the owners and the league have agreed. Once it hits the website, it's official. So when the official trade, we broke it yesterday. We have very good, reliable sources on the trade. I had one source saying that Fafual's already in practice in Jacksonville and actually was in Jacksonville this weekend. but he never went to the arena. Same as Warren Smith. I can't really confirm the Warren Smith situation. But yeah, for the Sharks fans out there, chances of Fafaul playing in this week's game against the Carolina Cobras are quite high. I'm not saying he's starting yet, but a guy who's already been in the Burley system, I don't think he needs a long time to learn the system again. So for Jacksonville, big competitive edge. And just imagine Fafaul was in the offense last week and 2 weeks ago in Columbus. We could be talking about a 2-0 Jacksonville Shark team, not an 0-2 team. But 0-2 team with 2 losses in overtime, it's not, to me, it's not really an 0-2 team. They seem like they're a 500 team right now, just overtime, just to flip of the coin. But it's a big trade. It's an exciting trade. But to the fans out there, you can finally say it's official. It's done.
Yep, it's finally in there. You Shark fans, you can welcome your guy back. Mike Fafual's going to be in Jacksonville. I'm also going to lean on the side that he's starting this week. If I were to be a betting man, I mean, again, from what we've talked in the past on shows, if you're in a similar system, you're going to be having your number one receiver who was with you at the time back last when you played with Jacksonville there. I think, to me, and you're going to have someone in the likes of Rob Jones, who we already know is just good at reading and getting open as it is by himself. So I wouldn't be shocked if he gets the start, and especially with Carolina. I mean, they're down 2-0 or 0-2 right now on the record. You don't want to be down 0-3 at this point in the season, even if, I would still think the Sharks are better, at least head over shoulders in terms of Orlando and San Antonio. Might as well give it your all in the snake pit and get your starting QB, who probably will be that in terms of the rest of the season, up and going if you have that chance. And if he's been in Jacksonville this long already, going to have a full week of practice on run, I see him starting. I'm finding the situation to be unlikely that you'll see Malik Henry stepping on the field this weekend to start, my opinion, but good change.
And it's a good change. And for the people who listened to our show yesterday, Wednesday Rewind, and now you may listen to our show on Friday, we did kind of do our predictions based on information prior to the news that broke earlier yesterday. Correct. For us. But right now, even though with Fafaul in the offense for the Sharks, I still think Carolina just has a competitive edge right now. They're just a better team right now. But still a competitive edge, and I won't be surprised if Fafaul goes up there, and if he is the starting quarterback this Saturday against the Cobras. You got 2 former Shark quarterbacks going head-to-head, Jonathan Bain versus Mike Fafaul. So it's going to be an intriguing matchup, but for the fans out there in the National League, this is not a joke. This is official. We have sources within all three entities confirming it: NAL, Jacksonville, and Albany. So it's officially done. So that's why we got an emergency breaking podcast today. And unfortunately, we were supposed to have Coach Resinalo and Jonathan Bain today. Schedule has got messed up. Practice got long. Hey, he's a coach, and the QB, they're preparing for the Sharks. So this is the episode that you guys get. Very short one, but at least we get you content here on a Turf Talk Thursday with some breaking news about Mike Fafaul and Warren Smith Jr. But to Albany, you're getting a solid quarterback. Warren Smith was the NAL MVP in 2017 with the Lehigh Valley Steelhawks. He also has very good connections with Darius Prince, who played in Lehigh Valley. Warren Smith played for the Atlantic City Blackjacks, and his main weapon there was Antoine Grant. So there is familiarity between those 2 guys too. So the system fits well for both quarterbacks. Fafaul is very familiar with Burley's offense and, of course, the weapons in Jacksonville, especially his buddy Devin Wilson. And Warren Smith has experience with a loaded roster up there, and also Dangerfield. Dangerfield played with him with Jersey last year. So he knows the quarter of receivers in Albany. So for Albany fans, if he comes in, don't be like, oh, he has no connections. He has a lot of He has more connections with Albany right now than he did in Jackson. So it's going to be a unique situation but right now, I don't expect anything massive happening in Albany. I think Sam Castronova starts for Albany against the Predators. but you have a very good, reliable backup, possibly a starter later in the year if the competition gets well. But Albany's set. They have 2 solid quarterbacks, and Jacksonville's set. They got 2 solid quarterbacks, and they got Fafaul back in. That's big for Jacksonville, especially if you watch the last 2 weeks with Malik Henry. But still, both organizations now have just as deep of a quarterback room like they did earlier in the year. So it's pretty cool. We didn't expect that they'll trade quarterbacks, but they have 2. They both have 2 deep quarterback rooms.
No, I didn't think anyone expected a trade. I think you just kind of assume that they're going to stick with it. But
Yeah.
I mean, on paper, it makes more sense in terms of player history. It makes a little more sense. So, you know what? It is what it is. Sharks fans will be happy. They, at least they should be happy on paper. I've seen some that they're like, well, I kind of like Malik and I get it, but hey, I don't know about you. If you heard our last show, I'm going to be honest with you, I think Mike's a better upgrade than Malik right now. Not saying
Malik's still young.
That's what I was just about to say it. Not saying he can't develop, but guys got to learn, like you were mentioning this week, Jim, he's got to learn to dink and dunk when he has those opportunities. So that's what I think needs to take from Mike when they're having this duo. Because trust me, Mike's probably going to take that starting job sooner rather than later, if not this week. So good setup there. Warren Smith helps at least solidify that group. I think we're pretty sure Sam Castronova is going to start at least for time being, unless Sam totally nosedives off a cliff through the month of May. He's going to be starting and probably might be throughout the foreseeable future with that talented receiving core he's got to throw to. So at least a little bit of changes. Albany kind of knows where they're at right now. Sharks you'll get to see this week should make that matchup with Carolina a little bit more intriguing. For more stuff with us, thanks for tuning into this emergency pod. We'll keep you up to date as the season goes on. Remember to subscribe on YouTube here or to your favorite podcast platform. Follow us on your social media platforms that we're on, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at InWallsPod. For that, again, that's at InWallsPod. Until our next episode on Friday here for our final walkthrough, we'll catch you next time. Thanks for tuning in.